Welcome back to MonsterVerse Unbound, where we see what would happen if things in the MonsterVerse went a little differently. This week we're going back in time to 1973, to Skull Island, to find out what would have happened if Colonel Packard had succeeded in his obsessive mission and the mighty Kong had died then and there. We open on that fateful night, as the mighty Kong, protector of Skull Island and the last of his kind, lies dead. After Packard kills Kong, the giant Skullcrawler emerges and devours Packard whole, and the remainder of the expedition scrambles toward the beach. After a few near misses and some tragic losses, they manage to escape with their lives. But Skull Island is left defenseless without its protector, and there are more Skullcrawlers lurking beneath. 10 years pass, and a military expedition returns to the island, accompanied by a reluctant Dr. Houston Brooks. All they find is a blasted wasteland. The Skullcrawlers have devoured everything: human, animal, vegetable, and even, it seems, ultimately turned on and devoured one another. Over Brooks's objections, a number of Skullcrawler eggs are collected and removed from the island to be taken back to the mainland for study. 6 months later, alarms sound at a secret research facility in Utah. When Brooks arrives in person to see who the intruder is, he's confronted with a familiar face, one Mason Weaver. She's been chasing leads on this place for weeks, looking for proof of the experiments being conducted here, in what Brooks quickly realizes is an attempt to atone for what happened back on the island. Weaver is appalled that Brooks would even consider taking part in an insane risk like bringing Skullcrawler eggs to the United States, but he tells her these experiments will go on with or without him, and at least this way he can make sure the eggs are handled responsibly. There should be someone on site, he says, who understands the gravity of what they're dealing with. And as if on cue, the lights go out. Alarms start blaring. Gunfire sounds in the distance. The Skullcrawlers are out. Once that happens, it doesn't take them long to spread out. Across Utah, Nevada, into California, north into Idaho and Wyoming. They kill, they eat, they breed, they keep killing. A massive, rapidly spreading Skullcrawler infestation has taken hold in the United States. Highways are clogged with people fleeing the cities, only to be trapped in what can only be described as a Skullcrawler feeding frenzy. Before long, the west coast states are almost entirely lost, and the Skullcrawlers are spreading south towards Mexico and South America. Brooks and Weaver are carried to Washington, D.C., where Conrad has been working for Monarch for the last 10 years, and is now brought in to coordinate the counteroffensive against the Skullcrawlers. He's working with a young Dr. Ishiro Serizawa, who's been tracking something else moving in the Pacific. There are a few counterattacks throughout the affected states, but nothing can hold back the infestation for long. Soon Washington falls, and the command center is evacuated, even as the monsters tear through their defenses and through solid steel to get at the helpless humans within. Brooks sacrifices himself to help Conrad, Weaver, and Serizawa escape on the final chopper. With the Americas essentially lost, they're flown to a temple in China that just might have something that can help. As they approach, reports start coming in over the radio of an incident in what used to be Los Angeles. Something has emerged out of the ocean and made its way inland, leaving the city strewn with charred Skullcrawler carcasses. Serizawa says he spent years looking for this creature, a prehistoric alpha predator, perhaps the one thing that could turn the tide against these monsters. He calls it Gojira. And there are reports of other creatures surfacing too. A monstrous crab creature in Arizona, a tusked mammal rising in Costa Rica. Whatever they are, says Serizawa, they're fighting back. And that's my take on what would have happened if Kong had died in Kong Skull Island. I hope you enjoyed it. It would be really fun to revisit this scenario, with America basically being turned into a post-apocalyptic giant monster battleground. Anyway, tune in next time where 2014's Godzilla ends and begins very differently.